I just wanted to bring to your attention the Trudeau 2 report, which I've been reading by the Ethics Commissioner Mario Dion, released not so long ago. I don't know if it was a couple months ago, but it was last month. Yeah, that's right. So I've been reading through this document with much interest, and on the very first pages, the Ethics Commissioner confirms that Trudeau and those under his orders acted in a way that breaches Section 9 of the Conflict of Interest Act. And he goes on later on in this article to state that witnesses and, how shall I put it, testimony and evidence was withheld from his investigation. He put in formal notice. He got in touch with the Prime Minister's people, the Prime Minister's office, to release all documents and evidence that would be relevant to his investigation. And essentially he was blocked from receiving those documents, and that his witnesses were prohibited from speaking fully. Let me just look it up right here, because they would be in violation of the Queen's Privy Council. Here it is. Confidence of the Queen's Privy Council. So there would be a breach on their part. So in other words, they're forbidden to speak to the full extent that they could, because they'd be in violation of this clause here. Now, Mr. Dion goes on. During the examination, 9 witnesses informed our office that they had information they believed to be relevant, but that could not be disclosed because, according to them, this information would reveal a confidence of the Queen's Privy Council and would fall outside the scope of Order in Council 2019-0105. So that was one thing. But he directly stated that there would be more to investigate had he all the materials at hand that he requested. Mr. Trudeau's legal counsel indicated the decision on whether to expand the waiver was made by the Privy Council without the involvement of the Prime Minister of his office. I thought that was cute. So his lawyers basically wanted him to recuse himself from any direct approach to stop the Ethics Commissioner from fulfilling his duties. And so it's convenient that the office of the Privy Council was able to have the jurisdiction to prevent Mr. Dion from getting documents and so on from those offices. But you could read between the lines on that one, because the Prime Minister, of course, himself benefited directly from the waiver, so that his office doesn't get the full extent of the investigation, but that he wasn't directly involved. Where did the order come from? Of course, the head. So this one was interesting. Because of the decisions to deny our office further access to cabinet confidences, witnesses were constrained in their ability to provide all evidence. I was therefore prevented from looking over the entire body of evidence to determine its relevance to my examination. Decisions that affect my jurisdiction under the Act, by setting parameters on my ability to receive evidence, should be made transparently and democratically by Parliament, not by the very same public office holders who are subject to the regime I administer. So basically he's saying, they're going to act in their own self-interest and protect themselves, because if found guilty, of course, this is a serious crime. So how can you expect the regime, if you will, the government or the guilty parties that he's supposed to investigate are going to give full cooperation, and surely they're not, because it should be made transparently and democratically by Parliament, but this Parliament doesn't operate within the bounds of the law. They like to circumvent the law. They like to go around, with their executive power. And if there's any problems, then of course it goes through the Prime Minister's office, if you will. Now, I just would like to bring more attention to this, because the Trudeau 2 report, that's also telling. He's committed crimes in the past. I think it was the Aga Khan vacation, if I remember correctly, where that was a conflict of interest by meeting with a known lobbyist of the Liberal Party, and that party, that lobbyist, the Aga Khan, could potentially lobby a political member, a party member, with gifts or money, or with the undue influence of a prime minister. Let's call it like that. So I think that was his first breach of the ethics violations, among other things. But I do believe that was the first example. So, just in short, my fellow Canadians and anyone listening on YouTube abroad, please don't underestimate Mr. Trudeau. It would appear that he's doing everything in his power to circumvent the law. Jody Wilson-Raybould said it best. She said that I am under no delusions that the Prime Minister is a man that gets what he wants. So even she was aware, even as a former party member, that Mr. Trudeau is somebody that he obviously doesn't respect the law. It's clear to me. And in regards to the SNC case, they're under the whole reason that they wanted the deferred prosecution is because they're already found guilty of corrupting government officials. The exact the crime in which they're being accused of is bribery, I believe. Bribing government officials, or illegally lobbying, undue influencing, and so on government officials here. So I find it like they should go to court and be found guilty, and then the highest penalty for that crime would be 10 years without any government contracts, and SNC should suffer that consequence at the very least. And any government officials that were working with these people behind the scenes to try to further their interests, they should be fined or arrested, or both. It's just terrible to think about when I'm reading this document, how incriminating this document is for the Prime Minister and people under the Prime Minister's purview. It's disturbing, very, very disturbing to me. So I'll leave you to your own conclusions. I highly recommend that any of you that watch this read this Trudeau 2 report. The PDF is free online, and all you have to do is type in Trudeau 2 report 2019, Mario Dion, if you want to add that, and then PDF, and download the PDF and read it. It is thoroughly incriminating for our Prime Minister. And I don't have much else to add. I thank you for your attention, and I wish you well. Good night.